You got out of the car.
Got out of the car because I'm going to ask these guys directions, how to get back to the green zone, to the red zone.
Take the Willis Avenue Bridge.
And this guy's got a 50 cal trained on me, right? And I go, listen, I'm so-and-so from so-and-so. He goes, yeah, I'm glad you came out that way because my 50 cal gun is from New York and he's in a real bad mood today. This guy unleashes a hail of 50 cal bullets over my shoulder.
Oh, shit.
Right?
And who?
A car pulling up behind us.
Oh, my God.
What's up, man? We're back, chomping at the bit. Can't wait to continue our conversation here up in Ossining, New York.
Man,
Police off the cuff. Bill Cannon. What's up, Bill?
I don't even think we scratched the surface of Tommy's war stories, but we're going to get to some more.
Are you having a good time,
right?
Tommy?
I'm having a great time.
That's excellent.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, we're here with Tommy Kennedy. We're going to keep going. Right now, where we left off, you were a sergeant. You got promoted to sergeant, and you were working in the 3-2 now? Where were you?
9-4.
Oh, yeah, the 9-4. Oh, yeah, Greenpoint.
Yeah, Greenpoint. I went to the 7-9 for some shits and giggles for a while. Did some SNU anti-crime work over there.
Well, as a boss, though, now.
As a boss.
Was that a punishment?
As a boss. You know what? It was like being back in the 3-2.
But, I mean, how did you wind up there, though?
Luck of the draw.
Oh, wait a minute. So you did your 6-month command was the 9-4,
Correct.
and then your permanent command was the 7-9.
Yeah.
All right.
I finally got back to Manhattan North.
So the 7-7, the 7-5, and I guess the 7-9, busiest places in Brooklyn. It's popping, right?
Oh, absolutely.
What year are we talking about?
1991.
1991. All right, I got out of the academy. I graduated from the academy in 92, so this is a year before I got out. And crack epidemic is at its all-time high right now.
Absolutely.
Because when I get out in 92, it's kind of starting to die down a little bit.
They were killing each other off. It really was. It was in a concerted effort, to combat the epidemic, and the players were really just either going to jail, killing each other off, and they were being crushed. They were really being crushed. Yeah. You mentioned Operation Pressure Point before, and that was it was a big part of it. It was just to inundate the infected areas with police. And
remember this is called TNT, Tactical Narcotics Team.
Yeah, TNT.
TNT, they won't get me.
That's what they used to say in the street, right?
That's
TNT
right.
TNT won't get me.
And they called you TNT even though you weren't. You were just anti-crime. I'm not TNT.
The funny thing is how they find out in the street, and they like the different name of the units.
Oh, they loved it.
Yo, you down with TNT? Yo, it's TNT, son.
There's a DT over there.
DT.
But he ain't one of the guys who wear the suits. He's just a regular street DT.
So you're over there. The 7-9's busy. It's rocking, huh?
It's busy.
You're a sergeant.
I'm a sergeant. Yeah. So somewhat hamstrung a little bit. Still
because you can't really make the collars, but
you recover the drugs.
You pick good guys. You're an anti-crime sergeant.
Yeah.
And you're picking good guys.
Let me ask you something, Tommy. When you got involved a lot and recovered something, a gun or drugs, did the precinct CEO get pissed at you for doing that?
Yeah, he did.
What, if you got involved?
They called you on the carpet.
Actually, I got called on the carpet in the 7-9, and he said, your SNU team is bringing in more guns and drugs than Brooklyn North Narcotics. We were doing some old school stuff.
Right.
We really were. So that was ultimately my demise there, and I ended up back to Manhattan North, which was my...
so he was claiming that because you were getting more guns and drugs that you must be doing something illegal.
Well, that was the inference.
Yeah, implication,
Yeah. So...
Because that other unit was bigger than yours.
Yeah, but we were kind of... we were just very effective, very motivated. They had a certain...
Your guys must have loved working with you, though, because... these are aggressive guys that want to go to anti-crime.
It was like Hogan's Heroes. You ever see that movie?
Yeah. And then the boss is as crazy as they are.
That's right.
Yeah. And they loved working for you, huh?
Well, we had a good group. We had one weak
guy. Quiet all of a sudden.
We had one weak guy, man, who was not pleased in some of the
proactive activities.
Was he a boss or?
No, he was a cop. So he made some noise, and it came to an end quickly.
You made some phone calls for him?
Yeah.
You found him a new place to work?
When you get someone like that, you got to be careful, though.
Well, that's exactly it. That was the end of it.
Did he land softly somewhere?
I think he went to IEP. his dream job.
Found
obviously.
a home for himself.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, there's some
He
place
fits
for
right
everybody
in.
on this job.
Absolutely.
Some people love to they should be an IAB. You know what? You mentioned that, and one of the stories I wanted to talk about was, we're going to get off track a little bit. I hope you don't mind. Is this that the cop coming back on the LIRR
From the funeral.
the Long Island Railroad? May he rest in peace, Detective Simonson. They went to his funeral, and something that used to be a habit. I mean, you'd go to a
It
funeral.
was cultural. Everyone.
You go to a funeral, and not only did you never made it out of that command, like wherever you were for that funeral, that local pub was going to get a lot of business that day.
Yep.
And cops went there, and they relieved a little stress over there.
Yep.
Cried
And the
into their
trains
beer
would
a
be
little
loaded
bit.
with cases of beer on the train ride back, right?
And in
Absolutely.
this
just
particular
one can.
situation, right? Look, what happened last week? There's a cop coming, a detective, 114 detective. That's where he worked. Was it
114.
Yeah. Had one beer. Popped it open. I guess he was riding with his boss and his boss's wife.
Yep.
His sergeant in the
squad, yeah.
Yeah. And another sergeant sees him pop open that beer or drinking that beer. And he had a thing with it. Unfortunately, he wasn't happy about it. And he pointed it out to him. And somehow IAB found out about it. There was a phone call made. The situation was recorded. And I think when you read the threads on social media about this situation, this is 100% in agreement. 99.9, everybody saying, what the fuck happened to the job, man?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Crazy. But, we spoke about this before, that the police department hierarchy is to blame, too, because they kill a mosquito with a sledgehammer. Right. You know what I mean? Was it necessary to modify this guy and his boss?
Out.
No, they modified both of them. Take their guns as shield, and they're going to be in the penalty box for a while, and they'll probably have a miserable career for the rest of their career. They'll never get promoted again. And is that penalty, having a beer, that's the penalty that you get for it? Does it fit the crime? I don't think so.
I'm sure we're in agreement that it definitely does. And I remember when I was a rookie, and I went to in my first command, you had 1 day up in the squad. Besides your FTU, one day you were going to go work in the squad for a day, see what the detectives do up there. And they took you out for dinner. And when they took you out for dinner, you had a beer with them.
Right.
Like a gentleman, And you put on your suit that day, and you pretend like you were a detective, and you had your beer, and then the next day you were back in.
And did they make you pay?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Well, back in the day, the precincts, the refrigerators were always full with beer.
You were allowed to have, I think, 2 beers with your lunch or something right there.
Promotion parties, full-blown promotion parties.
The point is, it's so
and it was
freaking
right up to the
stupid.
top of the police department.
Absolutely.
Everybody recognized this as part of the culture. All of a sudden, that part of the culture is gone now.
I think the first big hit was the Emerald Society, the pier after the parade,
Yes,
the St. Patrick's Day parade. That was always a uniform party.
Yeah.
Right.
And all of a sudden it was, don't you dare.
Well, do you know what the big incident was? Was the Freddie Sherman incident. That's changed drinking on the police department overnight. And if people aren't familiar with that, sergeant from the Bronx was out with 2 rookie cops on a no parking detail the day before St. Patty's Day in the 19th precinct, and they were drinking and a little bit disorderly, and they wound up running over some elderly man and they killed him. And that day ended drinking on the New York City Police Department as we used to know it, right?
Did.
Yeah.
Just some jail time.
Yeah.
That's really one extreme to the other, though. You know what I'm talking about? It's the difference between, when you talk about corruption, taking a extra scoop of ice cream and
that happened
stealing
too.
2 kilos of drugs, 10 kilos of drugs. It's a big
But
leap.
they used the same sledgehammer.
Exactly.
It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a shame. It's just a shame. But it doesn't,
I can never see firemen ratting on each other like that,
They'll duke it out every now and then.
Oh, they get into big
That's-
fights.
Yeah, that's
they
the
definitely
worst
get
they
into
do.
big fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go to
But they don't
other
rat each other
firehouses.
out,
There was
though.
just a thing last year. They go to another firehouse and beat the crap out of each other. It's
all
actually
good,
better
though.
if you do that.
Yeah.
This would have much better been handled out in the smoker. Hey, why don't you tell your, detective there not to be drinking? First of all the whole car is full of cops anyway.
Right.
Who are you impressing?
Right. Is the public getting horrified?
Did somebody
that they
make
see
a
someone
statement?
an open beer?
The first words out of your mouth is, "I didn't see a beer. Who had a beer? Did you have? I didn't have a beer. I didn't see anybody with a beer."
And as a sergeant, right, as a first line boss, you're just very protective of your men.
Yeah.
So for him,
Right,
that was the natural reaction to say, "Hey, I got this."
Yeah,
Or,
don't worry about it. I got it.
Right.
Mind your business.
Right, he stepped up for his guy. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're
You know,
gonna see.
and this is a job that make it clear to the people that aren't cops or in the cop culture. This is a job that you will risk your life for a fellow cop, and then for someone to rat on a fellow cop for drinking a beer, it just doesn't fit in the same sentence.
You know, while we're at it and we're telling, that's a pretty sad story of the way the job's going. But there are some good things that happen every single once in a while. There's a boy, a 10-year-old boy. His name is Zachariah Carlich, okay? And what he's taken it upon himself to do is he runs a mile carrying the flag, the thin blue line flag, for every officer that was killed on the line of duty. And this Florida boy raised $27,000 doing this. He shares the name of the officer, a little bit of the background when he does it. And for that, you get our
That's a great kid.
what kind of award could we give him?
You give him a commendation, I think.
Yeah.
Give him a
Remember the things that we used to have
commendation
put
with the
in
star.
for? Then you
Yeah.
get like 3 of them and it becomes it was an EPMD? That's a rap
No,
group, right?
if you had 3 robberies in street crime, you get a meritorious.
All right,
3 robbery
let's
arrests.
Let's give him a meritorious.
That's
an
Zachariah
exceptional merit.
Carlich. All right, so we're going to head back. We're going to go back a little bit of ways.
Well, something we're talking about medals. Tommy, you got a very impressive rack, right? And if for people, I'm not talking about your breasts. I'm talking about your rack of medals. And you must have like about 7 rows of stars or commendations, right?
Yeah, they're all perfect attendance.
Perfect attendance medals. I thought it was
you
that.
get one for not going sick
I
too,
think,
right?
I think that may have been like overtime medals he got, you know. But when people ask you about the rack, you sometimes say, "I don't really like to talk about that one. That one upsets me a great deal." You know, that one makes me cry.
I'm a thick-skinned Irishman.
But you're obviously very proud of it.
I am. Listen, I learned from the best. Like I said, to get back when I first went on, it's just legends. Cops knew every trick in the book and every just knew how to work every angle. And I kept my mouth shut. I took what I learned, what I liked.
You're a sponge.
I kept. I'm a sponge.
Yeah.
And what I didn't like, I threw away.
But that doesn't exist anymore, though, right?
I think it's kind of the young leading the young.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It has to a certain extent.
Well, who
obviously
who knows enough to teach new guys? What does the guy with 5 years on know? What did he learn? Who did he learn from?
Yeah.
Like we learned from the real hairbags that they were real cops. And when I was in anti-crime, I had a sergeant, this guy Murphy, who had 11 years in street crime. That's who taught me anti-crime. That was and he took me under his wing, and I was like, this is great. This is like having, the professor emeritus, teaching you about anti-crime.
That's a long time to be in street crime.
11 years. Well, that was when they used to get a gold shield out of street crime. He got promoted to detective, so he stayed there, But Tommy had the same thing in the 3-2, and at a different level. All the cops that were on patrol taught you a lot.
Had a great rack.
Absolutely.
I had the 10-year pin on my rack. And there was something, I think I got one for the range because I did shoot 100 right away. I got one of those.
A pistol shot.
It was a small rack, let's put it that way. It went perfect with my 2-inch snub nose. So that when you actually throw on the bag for a detail. Did you ever get into a unit where you didn't wear the bag?
Just anti-crime and. Just anti-crime. That's all. I didn't mind wearing the bag. I really didn't.
Yeah, I always wanted to get out of it for some reason. Yeah. So that I took the detective route. But man, that rack when you put it on to go to a detail, it's a good look, man.
Yeah, it's a parade rack.
Oh,
it's.
Even some cops are like, "Oh my god!"
Man. I remember. I used to be like, "Oh shit."
Well, that guy's got to be crazy.
How about bosses? How do bosses react to it?
They react to it too.
You know what? They're impressed.
They like that, right?
Yeah, they do.
It's good to know
they
that
show
you got
respect.
somebody, even if it's at a detail. Like, oh, good. If some shit pops off, I got that guy Kennedy on my team. He's standing on.
I went to the West Indian Day parade once, and I had about 6-7 years on the job, and I have like 52 medals. It's not nothing like Tommy's, but all the old timers saw that, and they all came and they wanted to be in my team. So I wound up getting the whole 4-6 squad that, and they all had like 25, 30 years on. I had like 7 years. I was their boss for the West Indian Day detail. So it does get you a little bit of respect.
Yeah, especially at details as a boss when you're mustering up.
Yeah, they know the deal.
If anybody doesn't know about the West Indian Day Parade, if you happen to be listening to us from another state, okay, I'll give you an idea of what the West Indian Day Parade is what it's like to work it. Every single cop, as soon as you find out about it, you plan your vacation around it. So when you get the opportunity to actually have a week off in July, one of the weeks that you're going to take off in July, guaranteed, if you finally work your way up to any type of seniority at all, whether you're going out of town, away on a vacation or not, that's the first week you take off right there.
Yeah, you don't want to go to it.
You don't care about Christmas comes second.
Shooting.
First thing
Shots fired right in front of you.
You don't even want to waste. You don't want to waste the opportunity on a personal day that could be denied on that. It's got to fall right in the middle of your week off.
And the night before, Jovert.
Yes.
Yeah, you want that whole week off. You want nothing
that's like
to do
hell
with that
night,
parade.
right?
Yeah.
Jovert is like hell night. It's like gun night for.
It's the longest day you'll ever have in your life, man. Working that parade.
And the media. They reports on it like, oh, it's wonderful. It's like a carnival. Right? Yes, it's like a carnival with shots fired every 10 minutes.
I remember being backed up against a barricade, both hands on the barricade, and just 100,000 people in front of me. And somebody came by with a wheelbarrow. There was a girl. The music is just so loud, and people are dancing in the street. From the outside, if you're just a civilian looking at it, it looks great. But you're standing there, you realize that at any point, they could pick me up. Yeah. They could pick me up and just take all my clothes off, my gun out of my. There's nothing you can do.
And sodomize you right on Eastern Parkway.
You're surrounded by people. There's nothing you can't see a cop next to you. It's you can't. You're the only one there.
And it's a 20-hour day.
Yeah, it's a long day. Just all day. So anyway, that's an idea. I don't even know how we got on the West Indian Day Parade, but
I mentioned it for some reason.
But now people get an idea of what it was like to work that 20-hour day.
You know what? One thing I want to say, and now that we're all sort of in different things, I'm pursuing acting and comedy and other things. You're pursuing comedy and you're working on the side. Tommy's doing security. I always feel good when I'm around other cops for some reason. Like you feel this safety. Like you feel like, and I don't know if you guys feel the same.
Yeah.
But you feel like, and people's like, well, what are you afraid of? Well, we know what to be afraid of because we've seen so much of it,
It's a common.
Yeah, and when you're with other cops, I really feel that, that peacefulness and that if anything happens, every one of these guys in this room is going to have my back, and you don't, and people might say, oh, what are you, paranoid? No, we've seen the shit that can happen.
Well, that's how things happen.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
So I'm glad. I didn't want to
the,
know that I was crazy or needed a psychologist over there.
Go ahead, Tommy. What were you going to say?
Oh, so that's why we'd fight each other. The last seat in the restaurant facing the door.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, my girl takes that seat all the time now, and it used to bother the hell out of me up first, and I don't care.
You don't care anymore.
Just make her happy. She's way younger than me. What am I going to do? Get into a fight over a chair? Basically, I don't have my gun on me anyway. If something happens, fuck it. I'm dead. 51 years old. I made it this far. She wants that seat. Knock yourself out. I don't have to look at anybody either.
She's got younger eyes than you too, so you can.
Yeah, she's in her 30s, man. God bless her. It's a whole other.
Man, that's a tough. Like we were both married 10 years younger. You're 19 years, man. That's
17 years.
17. Okay. Pushing those extra years out there, man.
Yep. It's a lot. There's a lot
of
differences.
Up in Viagra like M&M's or what?
No, well.
Tic Tacs.
You know what I do? I might actually try and have another baby, so we'll see. But I got stoner sperm now. That's what she calls it. So when I do try to have a baby with her, I gotta put when I finally do it, I gotta move her around like a pinball machine.
Your womb is polluted.
I gotta get my stoner sperm.
Well, it's you.
I gotta move her around. I gotta shake her up and down. Just pick her up and shake her up and down. Get into those cracks and crevices wherever it needs to go. You stoner sperm. All right, dude. So, man, so you're the street crime boss. Where are we right now? Did you do your whole 20?
What's that? I did my 20, yeah.
Oh, you did? That was it? 20 and out?
20 and out. The last 5 months was down 9/11, so down at Ground Zero.
Oh, you did get down there?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got there on 9/11. I got there just before the second tower dropped.
Yeah, that's when I got there.
Yeah. And I worked there every day, 7 days a week, then 6 days a week for the last 5 months of my job.
Were you in the 2-4 then?
No, I was in support services. But that's a story all by itself. You know, it all stems from the 2-4 incident with the Latin
Yeah,
King.
tell that story.
All right.
Oh, you worked in the 2-4?
Worked in the 2-4.
I worked in the 2-4. That's the first squad I went to.
Oh, really? It's I was there in 96, 97.
Yeah, I probably got there like 2000.
Okay.
No, maybe 2001.
All right.
They pulled us out of, we were having a grand old time in Warrants. Then they got rid of the police commissioner, Carrick.
Mm-hmm.
And the next guy to come in, they needed to backfill the squads. Warrants was great. So they put me in, I had to go to a squad.
Okay.
The 2-4.
Could have done worse.
Yeah, no. I went to the 2-6 afterwards, which actually was slower, which I liked better. But the 2-4, it could be popping in there too.
There's work everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's work everywhere.
So what happened to you in the 2-4?
Oh, a little bit of a tussle. So I was a patrol supervisor on the 2-4 one night. Good driver, young kid. And there's this projects on 90th Street in Amsterdam. So a call comes in, housing unit picks it up, housing scooter, a single man unit. It's grand larceny of a car in the garage, multiple males. So we respond. I respond as backup. This kid's all alone. Go into the garage, and there is 4 or 5 young males stripping an Acura. Right,
Wow,
right
right
in the middle of it. Yeah, just they see us, it's off to the races. So me, I'm on my years then. So so I grabbed the big fat guy, but he's a head taller than me. And he's got me about 70 pounds. But anyway, so we mix it up. We're in the back alleyway, and trying to get him on the fence, trying to get him cuffed, and he's pushing off. I try to grab his cuffs, yank his legs out from under him. He holds himself up on the fence, turns around, takes
Cuffs? You mean the cuffs of his pants?
by the cuffs of his pants. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, on the cuff. Yeah, on the cuffs.
This is called off the cuff.
No, because I thought you had him cuffed already.
No, I was trying. He wasn't quite.
Remember, I smoked before we did this shit.
You know, people don't realize that if someone doesn't want to be cuffed, it's almost
near
impossible to get them cuffed.
Absolutely.
No matter how strong you are,
Yeah.
it's like
It's like when you're chasing somebody, you catch up to them. Why does the person that's running away always get caught? They're running as fast as they can too. It's something about it. Anyway, we'll never figure that out. We're cops. Go ahead.
So he comes off the fence. He hits me a couple of times. I hit him. We're mixing it up. Get him back around. Try to take him down.
When you say he hits you,
He's punching me in the head.
Yeah.
You know, I'm blocking and deflecting it. I'm hitting him.
everybody
hitting
was
him back.
kung fu fighting.
It was Marcus of Queensbury rules. I can show you.
yeah.
So finally, he gives me a whack, pushes me back. I go down against an opposite fence on the other side of the alleyway, and I go, hell with this. This guy's we're at it. So I take my gun out. I put it in his face. I get on the fence, get on the floor. He looks at me like, yeah, all right. What are you going to do with that? And he grabs the gun. Now I'm thinking, like I tossed him. I know he's got nothing on him. So I go. So he grabs the gun. I go, what am I going to do? Shoot this guy in the face? An unarmed guy for grabbing my gun, but he's not trying to take it from me. So he just pushes it down, and calls my bluff, basically. Pushes it down, gives me a whack, and takes off. So I take off running after him, about a 4-block chase. In the interim, my chauffeur, my driver, is off somewhere else fighting with another guy a few blocks away. This guy gets winded. The guy I'm chasing gets winded about 4 blocks away and stops. Get down on your belly. I run over, and he's laying on his hands. So so let me see your hands. I give him a kick in the ribs and little physical persuasion, and he takes his hands out, and I cuff him up. Now I'm saying, get up. Backup units are coming. Get up, and he's still struggling. He's a big guy, so I lock his shoulder blades back, grab by the chain of the cuffs, and I lock his shoulder blades back, lift him up. He gets on his feet, but I'm keeping him at arm's length in case he kicks back. Right. All of a sudden, this guy takes a face plant right into the concrete. Right.
You passed out.
Right. All right, get him up. He gets the backup unit comes, gets him up. I go take him to the hospital.
Was it like adrenaline?
Well, we find out later. So I find out later that just as this whole thing is transpiring, a community activist group is ending their meeting. Now, this is a community activist group that wanted to disarm the police and, crazy stuff like that.
Right.
And, we're looked at gangs as community organizers and good for the community. Guy's got about a bunch of stitches in his head, lost a tooth, got a black eye.
The guy who face
The guy face planted. So, next thing I know, I get called down to the DA's office. I'm going to testify before the grand jury, and they come back with an indictment, and I surrender myself for arrest down at.
But how did that all go down, though? Was it through IAB, or did the DA's office try to get tricky?
The DA's office tried to get tricky. I was called down to give my statement.
So they were taking a statement without Miranda.
Correct.
But you were told you were a subject.
Correct.
So they wanted you just to run at the mouth, and they're going to use that against you.
Yes. But it was right to draw up the collar at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon.
Right.
The DA sat there, the official corruption unit DA sat there and introduced his TA as himself. Now, if for whatever reason. So I gave my statement, as I would, an affidavit.
What is that, the TA?
Trial assistant.
So the DA is actually saying, I'm the trial assistant?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Next thing I know, I go to the grand jury. I'm going to give my testimony, and it's the trial assistant who is an official corruption unit DA.
Mm-hmm.
I give my statement, told him what happened, lifted the guy off the floor, lifted him to his feet, and the guy just collapsed. He's a Latin King lieutenant, big with the Latin Kings. Now, I don't know.
The guy who face planted.
Who face planted, right.
And for those of you who don't know, the Latin Kings was a big-time gang back in 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It started in the 50s in Chicago and branched out in prison and branched out from there. It's a violent street gang.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost like the way MS-13 is looked upon now. That's the way Latin Kings were looked upon back then.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Before they hired a PR firm and
to clean up their image.
To clean up their image, yes.
Yeah.
Which was effective politically.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a lot of areas. Fast forward, I'm standing, where the perch is on the 80 Center Street, where the cops hang.
Yeah.
So I go down and I'm surrendering to the official corruption unit.
You're nervous, huh?
Am I nervous? No.
No?
Not at all. Never once. I did nothing wrong. It turns out he had cocaine and heroin in his blood, large amounts. He's speedballing. He was a big guy. He ran 4 blocks after a brawl with me. There were witnesses to the brawl. And it was an interpretation, a politically...
But who was pushing this, though?
The political organization that was emptied out that day. And it was a couple of witnesses on the street saying, "Oh my God, he threw him to the sidewalk."
Right. This 300-pound guy, you threw him like
I lifted him up.
Hulk Hogan.
I lifted him up and threw him to the sidewalk. So, what? I listen. Perception, 2-second incident.
How tall are you?
5'9".
Okay, so this guy's 300 pounds. I'm sure he's got a couple inches in.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, sure.
So that helped in court too. In the beginning, it didn't, but I would imagine.
Right. The grand jury was a joke, of course. Right? The indictment of the ham sandwich.
Yep.
So what they charged me with, which was I was shocked, the only curveball when I went down to the Manhattan DA's office to be processed was the typing up the arrest report and assault 1.
Oh my God.
Yeah, assault 1. The world was my weapon, the sidewalk. So I'm like greater than Thor in that aspect.
Wow. And then assault 1 has to be serious physical injury or a impairment of permanent impairment.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
That probably helped his face, that guy.
Went for a 5-week trial for a 4-second incident.
5 weeks?
5-week trial.
Homicides
Yes,
like over in 2 days.
And
Who represented you?
John Patton from the SBA.
Good.
Awesome
Good. Yeah.
man. Awesome.
Well, he was a hired gun, though. He wasn't an SBA attorney.
He was the SBA attorney.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was, yeah. He was. And I was kind of on the fence.
Yeah, sure.
I hired a gun.
I mean, the PBA uses the London brothers, right? Ira and Stu London.
Yeah. So he was their specialty attorney. He was their criminal attorney. And just an awesome man. So the 5-week trial, not guilty. Of course.
How long did it take the jury to come back?
3 hours.
Which is quick. That's very quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 weeks.
Which is that's usually a good sign, I guess.
How
right?
were you talking about for 5 weeks? I guess it was all.
Let me ask something though. What you think the police department was at all involved too in not protecting you and not?
I'd have to say so.
Yeah.
Well, then I went, after I was not guilty, I went to a department trial.
Right.
So the department trial, I hired a kinesiologist.
Which is different because the level of proof is less, right?
It's correct. It's an administrative trial.
Kangaroo court.
Kangaroo court, rang by the NYPD. However, I took it one step further on the allegations, and I hired a kinesiologist who testified, the scientist testified, that it would be impossible for me to lift this gentleman off the ground and throw him to it.
Right.
Not guilty at the department trial.
That's
So-
great,
2 for
and
2.
that's so hard to do.
It was.
That's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Oh, it was good that
Especially
you
if the
hired that.
police department had a hard on for you. You know.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you hired that psychic.
Yes. I can.
You know, they always come in handy. Kinesiologist. What the fuck did
I didn't, I didn't, I didn't know what
do?
I didn't know what that meant
saw-
either. until-
I see a fat Latin king.
It's like force motion physics.
Brujeria.
blah, blah.
She came in brujeria. So you hire your own guy, and so you're 2 for 2. But what happens? Is
2 for
it all
2.
clear?
So this is so when I was unmodified, I was in the 2-8 precinct in the hub site. Now the hub site was where they'd bring all the prisoners from Manhattan North, and we'd transfer
Yeah, I
them
remember
down.
that. I used to love dropping my guy over.
So
They were
I was
pissed.
there.
These guys are pissed, man. For those who don't know, it's like you'd make an arrest and you're uptown, and the ride downtown, it's a big pain in the ass. So instead of having these detectives gain more overtime, you could drop your body off at the 2-8, and they had cops there that was their tour. They would at some point they'd grab all these bodies out of the cells from all the precincts up north, and they make one trip downtown with your paperwork. So you worked in that hub.
So I worked in that hub and as a supervisor there, and I was happy. They said,
Oh, that's where they put you at because you got jammed up.
correct.
But
So
you
when I
weren't
got,
making any overtime, though, right?
I wasn't. No, I wasn't.
So it's better than Viper, though.
Oh yeah.
Viper, you just sit there and you watch.
At this point, I bet you just
Rubber
wanted to
Gun
make
Squad.
it to your 20 years and get the hell off the job.
Well,
right?
this is what happened when I was sitting in the hub site. I was restored to full duty. I got my gun and shield back, and they said, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "I am happy as a clam right here." I had maybe 2 years to go at this point, and then one day I'm watching.
So the fight in you to get back on the street, that was gone now.
It was gone. You know what I did? Though?
They put it out.
They
job
did.
put
You know
it
what I
out.
did? I used
we
my time
didn't
to
start the fire. It was always better.
I used my time there to actually write a manuscript, and it's a kind of a band of brothers story.
You mean a screenplay?
No,
No?
a book. Novel.
Oh, a book.
Novel.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to have to bring him here when Michael O'Keefe's here, teach him how to get that thing to a novel form, right?
Yeah, it's good. It's
You a good writer?
I think I am. It was very well received.
So the
Very
Band
well
of Brothers book is about your days in anti-crime.
Well, it's semi-autobiographical. Right? It's about it takes place in the late 90s, but it kind of, the timelines collapse, and it's how did we get here today? And the fights and the camaraderie and the humor and the irreverence and how these
And
people
the lead
come.
character has great hair, right?
Great hair, unbelievable.
It's you, I know.
But it's a very raw. It's very real. It's very dynamic.
Is your book published?
It's not. No.
So you're looking for a publisher.
I am.
It's finished.
It's finished.
What's
Did you
the
say
name
it was
of
like 800 pages?
It
Though?
is.
So you may have to edit it down, right?
Yeah, well, I'm changing a couple of characters'
Kill
names
some
and-
babies.
Kill some babies.
That's what they call it. And you
Kill
gotta-
some
We're-
babies.
Because that's what they call it in writing. Because
No,
all
but
your scenes are
I-
great in your head, but at
Look-
some
Oh,
point
gotcha.
you gotta
I know
you gotta
that
kill some
a,
babies.
a novel can't be 800 pages. No one's going to publish it if it's
No,
800
no.
pages. You may make a couple of books out of that,
Right,
you know.
right.
But and the process of getting it published, I think, is pretty tough too, right?
It is. Well, it's with the editor now, so we'll see the end product.
Right.
But it started as a catharsis, as I was sitting in that cell area,
Right.
and just longhand writing it and then typing it up. And
That's amazing.
It was a process.
You're in a bad
process.
spot too.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, like look at what happened. Okay, they took what was a very, very active guy, aggressive in the street, taking guns off the street, locking up bad guys, and what do you do with those guys?
You break them.
Yeah.
They break you, down.
Yeah, you
man.
kill their will.
The Ralph,
It's almost
the Ralph
impossible.
Friedmans of this world could not exist.
Yeah, the Tommy
in this-
Kennedys. They
Tommy
put
Kennedys
the fire.
cannot
they put
exist.
the fire out.
Yeah.
So
There's
they put the fire
there's
out.
no
of you. So while
place
you're
for you
sitting there,
anymore.
you're writing about this.
So I'm sitting here, I'm writing
When
about
was the
this
last time you read it?
2 days ago.
Wow.
You still agree with it?
I still agree with it.
All right. Then
Yeah,
you gotta
as a
do
matter
it.
of fact, it aged very well. I was shocked.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
You know what a lot of these people are doing now, because you have, he mentioned it's too long for a novel, but if you think about it as a way to get it into a screenplay form,
yeah.
where now you have a whole season, or you got
Right.
2 or 3 seasons. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because at 800-page thing there, you got tons of stories.
Ton
And
of
this is-
material.
These are like there was a show about the Rampart guys on cable, and I remember I enjoyed that show a lot. It was the guy with Michael Chiklis. Remember him?
Yeah,
Commissioner?
Yeah, well, after the commish, well, maybe it was before, he had that show, and it was about the Rampart guys. They were almost like.
Oh, I remember that show. Yeah, that was very good. Yeah,
it was based off of a real unit
Yeah.
that really did get involved in a lot of stuff, involved with drug dealing and stuff like that. Some guys got collared, but that's, to me, what you're saying right now. It sounds a lot like that's with that, because you got to kill some babies, but you don't really kill them. You just put them off on the side.
Right,
You can make
right.
a novel out of it, and once somebody comes after you with the novel, and they're like, "Oh, this would be a great screenplay." Yeah, well, guess what? I got more stories. You can make this into a whole season.
Right.
2
No,
or 3 seasons.
police stories are great. I mean, the evidence of that is how many damn shows on TV are about police work. I mean, every other one is about, and not all of them are very good. I mean, Law and Order uses all NYPD stories.
Yeah, that's an anomaly.
NYPD Blues, same thing. They used they
yeah,
get
they
the
borrow
stories
from
for
that.
free.
We're
from
talking about
detectives.
using real stories.
Well, those were real stories, but they didn't pay for them.
Yeah, but we're talking about the same unit that actually. It's a different thing. It's almost like the other show that was
Look,
on
he doesn't
HBO.
want to give his personal stories away to anybody because
I
they're
wouldn't-
his. It's
yeah.
like Rocky wants to play Rocky. Sylvester Stallone wants to play Rocky.
Maybe if I still had the hair. But,
Now you'd have to be a
anymore.
boss. in it.
Yeah.
Now you'd have to be like.
No, because you got to be very careful. Like a lot of these TV shows want the shit for free, and then
Right.
they're gonna exploit you, and you're gonna walk away with a 6-pack,
Right.
and it's worth a lot of money in the right hands.
I mean, yeah, you could sell your idea off right away up front. Or you can figure out a way to still be part of it. But in the end, you want to cash out. That's where you got to be careful of the direction that you go in.
Right.
Hold on to it, as a consultant or be the producer of it.
It's funny. When I retired, I thought I was like going to try to write too, and I
Yeah.
realized how hard writing is.
Right.
And I took a writing course. And I was like, "This is too hard. I'm not
Yeah.
doing this." And then I wound up migrating to comedy. I've been doing comedy for like
it's
5
fun,
years
'cause
now.
I did the same exact thing. I was a stand-up comic, and I said I'm going to write, about my time on the police. But the problem is I didn't really do too many interesting things. So I wrote about that. All my things about how it never happened
You
to
got to
me.
just tell how you avoided
Well,
shit to
well,
go
yeah.
because you had a comedy show that
Every
night.
single one of my stories, and cops love it because it's like, even though you're a great cop, guys like me. You know what I'm saying? I came in, I did what I had to do. You got the number, but I wasn't going to be a shining star.
Yeah. Everybody had their place.
Right, right.
I help you out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I was in the Queens Marines talking about that, I remember we had a guy came there, a Spanish guy, real good cop, man. And all he wanted to do was make collars. Wherever he was, they were holding him back. So he thought if he could get to the task force that he could manipulate it. And once again, he went to a place that it wasn't really, there's not that many active people there. Some people write their summonses, some people make their DWI arrests, but it is what it is. Some people work at Shea Stadium. Well, now it's Citi Field. We took him in, me and my partner, and we used to let him sit, and while we were eating or doing whatever we doing, we'd let him watch a phone booth or something like that with his binoculars, and then he'd say, "All right, now," and then we just throw the van down. We go grab this guy, collar him up. He got his bodies in the back. We'd bring him back to the command, help him do his paperwork. That's how you work together.
Right.
We're in a job. I didn't want the collar, but
Right.
we'll help you get it, just as long as I don't have nothing to do with it. So I think you got a really good idea with that thing. You might have, like you said, in order to get into a novel, let your editor work his magic.
Right.
But don't get rid of those stories. Keep them on the side.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And when you retired, what year was it when you retired?
Right after 9/11. So I was telling you, I was sitting in the cell area writing down this manuscript or whatever, this catharsis, this material.
Stuff that you had to get off your chest.
Yeah, and there was this commission, the City Council Commission, and Couric and Anamone are testifying before it about police
Is that
brutality.
Marlin? The Marlin Commission?
No. It was some kind of smaller city council police brutality commission. So one of the council members say, well, what about this Sergeant Kennedy, who's they settled with this victim of his for $3.6 million, and he's in charge of prisoners every day. So I just closed up my folder and walked to the locker and just started packing. Because they looked at each other and they said, "Oh, we're not following that, but we'll get back to you on
Into
that."
that, yeah, that's all you need.
So
How did you hear about that?
I was watching on TV.
Oh, really?
So,
and you heard your name on it?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So that very night, telephone message got transferred to. It was originally Bronx property clerk. And that's okay because I didn't want to go outside.
Right.
But I had my night diff, and I didn't want to give up the night differential.
Right.
So some inspector.
What that is cops get another about $5,000 a year for working at night. So that's what that is, night shift.
So
differential.
as I was coming through my final years, my golden years, I didn't want to lose that.
No.
Obviously, pensionable money. So this inspector ended up taking me under his wing and giving me Support Services Bureau. So I was there for about a couple of months on midnights, not doing much of anything, and
Got some writing in.
9/11.
Oh, 9/11 happened.
9/11.
Yeah.
So my last 5 months were down there. I retired right from the site, and that was a career. But that was my 20th year, and obviously it was a no-brainer. As long
You had to get out.
Had to go
You
out.
had to get
I
out,
would have
yeah.
never matched the pensionable monies.
Unfortunately, when you're active like that, at some point, shit happens, bro.
You got to make a
Yeah.
decision to go, for your family,
Not that you
for
stepped on your
yourself.
dick, but the job thinks you did.
Yeah. It was a no-brainer.
And the job will get you. It will definitely go after you,
So you were working down there. I'm sure your emotions were probably running high back down there too, right?
They were. Absolutely. All of us. We were all affected. We all lost friends, family.
I didn't work down at the actual site. I did a lot of family center stuff,
Okay.
because I was the detective in warrants.
The grieving
So
center.
Yeah, there was a lot of collars being made there too, believe it or not.
People
coming
faking
in
it?
there and making false claims.
Yeah.
Right.
But you working down there, you're seeing it in your face every single day, and
And meeting
I'm
the
sure-
families of the people.
Yeah, I was meeting that was crushing.
Yeah.
that
That had to be
oh,
tougher in a lot of
man,
ways.
that messed me up down there.
Yeah.
Because, when
I
you-
was working at the morgue, and not all the time, but I was in homicide for almost 10 years, and I never saw anything in homicide like what I saw. I brought in from 9/11.
I always say after 9/11, I said, "You think you saw everything?"
Yeah.
Until
You see, you worked 9/11.
my third day in Iraq.
Oh,
You
God.
got really pissed though.
I got pissed.
You were upset.
I got pissed. I'll tell you, I
You
was
decided
looking
you were
at-
going to do something about it, right?
I said there's got to be some payback
What'd you
somehow.
do?
Where I went to Iraq with the Department of State, and I was training the Baghdad Central Investigation Division and their Explosive Ordnance Division. But my third day in Iraq, we got there. We were not in the green zone. We were in the red zone in Saddam's circle. We saw them pull down the
But tell us
statue.
what that means.
So the green zone was a protected area by the U.S. military. We were in downtown Baghdad in a hotel
So it's more dangerous to be in the red zone.
in the red zone. Yeah, we had Kurdish force protection, which means we had guards, armed guards, that protected this hotel that was occupied by several government agencies. So I got there. I've seen everything, right? There's nothing that's going to shake me. We're there for a few days. We have a full bar. We're drinking. We're smoking Cuban cigars. You hear gunshots in the distance every now and then.
Just like the 3-2.
That's exactly what I said. That's exactly my words. Just like the 3-2. So I'm laying in bed one morning with a hangover, and machine gun fire starts. And it becomes more brutal, more quicker, just rapid and yelling and screaming. Now, there's a main hotel called the House of Deer, and I had to go. I caught a later flight, so I was put in a smaller hotel building about half a block away, on the 4th floor. So this machine gun fire is going crazy, right? Iraqis and Kurds are going crazy, screaming at each other, and I'm laying in the bed because I have a 4-foot concrete kind of patio outside my window. And how many stray bullet homicides have you been to, or right shootings? So I go, I'm not, poking my head above this wall or sitting up in my bed and catching a stray round. But then it just kept getting worse and worse, and you could tell it was more an emergent situation. So I wasn't taking it very seriously my first 3 days there, and we were issued our weapons, our M4s and our.
What's an M4?
It's an M4 is an assault rifle. It's
Okay.
it's 30-round clip, 5.56. So I had loaded one 30-round mag, and the rest I said, I'll get to it. I'll get to it when I get to it. So, but there's something happening here. So I go out on the patio.
The same patio you said you're not going to go out on.
Correct. Yeah, it was. I just had to do something. And just then, at the end of the alleyway, 2 insurgents, men with black masks on, try to take the wall. They're armed. They're coming up with AKs and a one-headed RPG.
Into your hotel.
At the hotel. So I repelled them with the ammo I had, and I was going in to reload.
Repel is what you're using for a shot? That's another
Shot.
word?
Yes.
He's holding them off.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just like the 3-2.
Yes. And they cacked off a 2,500-pound truck bomb, which blew me across the room, head over heels.
They drove it down that alley?
And no, the alley next door. And my windshield, my whole window was on my back. It was viscreened. It was they put plastic just for occasion, so it would come out whole and not shatter.
Just like the 3-2.
Just like the 3-2. So this 2,500-pound truck bomb absolutely devastated the entire building, my building, the hotel, destroyed massive amounts of up-armored SUVs, property, everything that was on the site. And that was my first experience with an actual explosion.
I guess you took the shit serious from then
I
that
took
point
it,
on, right?
It was thank God it happened then, because it was a real wake-up call. And,
It served you.
Then it got worse from there. But I was walking around the devastation. I was like, you thought you saw everything on 9/11 until this.
Wow.
So
Now, were you assigned? You enlisted in the army, or what?
no,
what
it was a contract. It was
You're like a mercenary, right?
Some people call it that. It's not as
soldier of fortune.
Soldier of fortune.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Does sound cool.
Either one of them sounds
well,
cool.
if they, if people heard how much he got paid, they still wouldn't do it, right?
Oh, it's blood money. It's blood money.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
So it's like $150,000 a year, tax free.
Back then, yeah. Back then, sure.
It sounds like it's really
Sounds
like
good, but try to do that for a year.
We lost. We came in with 67 in my group. We lost 23.
of the
those
type of
odds are,
guys who
yeah,
were doing
man.
your type of work.
Yeah.
Well, most of them retired cops. Former
Most of
law
them were.
enforcement.
Most of them were. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
This is the next.
And
book,
guys
man.
lost
This is
limbs. They
part
lost
two.
arms
Absolutely.
and legs. And,
Absolutely. Yeah.
You could have
Unbelievable.
very
You know
easily
something-
lost arms and
You
legs.
know, the amazing
from
thing
that-
is,
from that, the first
it's
explosion.
such a great thing to even know you, man. Seriously.
Listen, I'm blessed to know
What
you
a
guys.
great,
Really.
Let me ask you a question. I'm blessed to have met you too. I want to say, but so you're there. This is your third day. Did you think about going back after that? I mean, what did you do? You signed the
I was
contract
kind
for
of
a year.
I was kind of on a mission.
No, he went Central. I'm going 63.
No, but think about it. I mean, you retired. You got your pension at home. Fuck this 150,000,
Yeah,
man. I don't want to
yeah.
be in this shit.
I was in it.
You
I
got
was in
one
it.
gun. These guys are a truck with a bomb.
So
on
you
it.
lasted the whole year then?
Yeah, I did.
You stayed the whole year. And did it get any better or it got
No,
worse?
it got worse. It got
Wow.
more.
How many days did you have in between? Because I'm sure did you ever have moments again where it was 3 days nothing, then boom, it got really bad
Oh, absolutely.
again? That's the way it
Absolutely.
was.
We
That
got
was
hit,
the
but
pattern?
we got hit all the time. We got
So
hit.
you knew that if there were like 2 or 3 days went by, you knew something was going to happen soon.
Yeah, the re-upping. Yeah, the rearming. Yeah.
What were you telling your wife
And
at
they
home?
were hitting your
Nothing.
hotel.
Nothing. You
Nothing.
didn't tell her.
As a matter of fact, the Al Sadir bombing, I had finally got access to a sat phone, and I called her up, and she was watching it. I said, "All right, just want to let you know, I'm okay.
I'm okay,
Whatever.
yeah.
And who did you leave behind? You had your wife.
Wife and 2 kids, but we
How
were
old-
going through some
How old were the kids?
13 and 11. Yeah.
And how long did you the first when you got your hands on that phone? How long was it from the time that you left to the time that you made that call?
Probably, I probably spoke to them the day before.
The day before you left.
Oh, no, the day before from Iraq.
Yeah. Oh, because I thought you didn't speak to them for months.
Oh, no, we were in constant contact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, Tommy, let me ask you something. What kept you there? What really, seriously, what kept you there? It was so dangerous. What were you? Did you feel you were doing something that was really?
I did.
helping, or what?
I believed it back then. My obviously, in hindsight, maybe we shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
But at the time,
You weren't looking for that Turkish dude from the dry cleaning, were you?
I already found him. But that was.
You were trying to get your second combat cross overseas.
But it was quite fluid. It's quite fluid.
So they blew up that hotel. What did they do with you next? Where did they put you next? You got.
We rebuilt it. We stayed there.
So you stayed in that hotel.
They rebuilt
You
it.
rebuilt it.
They re-upped the. We were driving around in up armored SUVs to our locations in Baghdad. So of course, every kid with a stick wants to throw it at Baghdad. So we'd be driving around and get, hit with an IED here, IED there.
Wow.
How do they know who's who?
We were at big white trucks with.
So they knew,
Yeah,
those are
we
the bad-
stood up. We stood out like we did in anti-crime, in Harlem. So, lost a lot of friends there, and
So you couldn't go out into the street and get food and stuff like that.
no,
How'd
it was
you-
like being in prison. It was self-contained. They had a
You would
dining.
just go to your meetings and you would do your training. You were training people there, but in the meantime, you were getting involved in skirmishes, right?
Going to and fro.
Yeah.
We
Was
get
it?
hit.
Let me
on a
ask
daily
something.
basis.
When looking back on it now, was it worth it?
I think all life experiences, good and bad,
It makes you who you are.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do. I believe, especially the work I had done later on in Afghanistan, where I saw actual results, and I know what I did in Afghanistan. I brought young men and women home in one piece because of what I brought to the fight there.
Right.
Iraq, we had kind of a cutting edge. I got called into this colonel's office, and he goes, I can see you're sexy. And I go, well, Colonel, thank you very much.
It's a military word. Military usage of it.
He goes, no, you asshole. He goes, the combined exploitation cell. He goes, you have access to the Baghdad, because we lived on the economy. We were in the streets.
Right.
So the sexy unit was out of Camp Victory, and it was a task force with DEA, ATF, FBI, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and EOD to forensically exploit these IEDs. And what I did was I took the game to the street, and I taught the Iraqi EOD how to forensically exploit these IEDs, and we were closing down these IED networks.
How did you learn that?
Training. I went to advanced training.
Oh, they taught you how to do this. But did you use any of your police?
Well, It's all relative. Yeah,
Comes in handy, right?
It does.
What you learned in anti-crime, did it come in handy
I
in
gotta
Iraq?
tell you, yeah, you get things done.
Yeah.
You know how to get things done. You know how to talk to people.
Leadership,
you know how to,
yeah.
It translates.
You know, also as a boss, when they see you're going in first, that gets you a lot of respect,
Yeah,
right? I'm talking about
Lead
street
from the
cred
front.
in Iraq,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Leading from the
Yeah,
front.
absolutely.
Right.
But that's wild, man. I knew that you were in Iraq. I had no idea
How long were you
what
there?
you did.
I was there for a year, and then Afghanistan for 3.5 tours.
What was the time of that?
What is the tour?
Tour was I was with the 82nd Airborne Air Assault. Then I went over to the 101st Airborne Air Assault, and then I finally ended up with the 1st Marine Division in Helmand.
What is a tour a year?
A year. One tour was a year and a half.
You did over 5 years in Afghanistan?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
4.5.
You can probably do stuff as a civilian, even though you were prior law enforcement. You're hired from an outside agency. You could probably do stuff that the military can't do.
That's exactly was my place. That was exactly my place. We weren't under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. We brought to the table skill sets that the military humanters, the human intelligence, the guys who do debriefings or interrogations, we had full access to that. We didn't have to write reports or approaches.
When all this shit's going on, it seems with something like waterboarding seems so ridiculous. I mean, like, yes, of course we should fucking waterboard.
Yeah,
you know
of course we should waterboard.
They're cutting people's heads off.
Yeah,
They're.
Well, that was us. It was we.
Toilet boarding's good too.
Toilet boarding. That Ralph did that. Ralph did
The,
toilet boarding.
the origins of waterboarding come from toilet boarding.
He was a Renaissance man.
That was invented in Fort Apache in the 70s.
Yeah, wait a minute. There probably
That
was
came
some
way
guy.
before.
It was probably some guy like you know what we used to do? We used to stick the head in the toilet.
It was Ralph Friedman in Fort Apache.
Wow. So you
Toilet
did
boarding.
5.5 years over there. So can you speak the language?
I used to. Yeah,
Yeah?
I used to hold a pretty good, and I can like
What
probably
is it
curse
called?
some.
Urdu?
No, that's Indian. That's Paki.
Okay.
It's Pashtun. Pashtun and Dari in Afghanistan, and it's Arabic in Iraq.
Wow.
Yeah,
So there was two different languages you had to learn.
3.
3.
But it's a perishable skill, as you know. Like I studied 6 years of German, right? 4 in high school, 2 in college, and right now I can order a nice German meal and probably solicit a prostitute. That's,
Well, it's one of
because
those things. It's like almost like learning lines to a script. Like you're
Yeah,
gonna go
right,
audition,
you learn it and then it's
and I
gone.
know this freaking part like the back of my hand. All I had to do was study basically like an hour before I went in. I'm talking about a paragraph or two, not pages, but that's how your auditions come in, like 2
Right,
paragraphs.
sure.
So you study the hell out of it. You know what I'm saying? For that 1 hour or the 2 hours that you have it. That's the way my brain works. I go in there, I bang it out, and I leave. And if my girl asked me how was the audition, I couldn't even tell you the words anymore.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It
You
is
know,
a skill.
Just
It's
kind
a
of sort
learned
of
skill.
throw that.
Let me ask you something though. How about now? How do you feel now? How do you have any? I the same question I asked Ralph Friedman. Do you feel you have any PTSD from it? I think as cops, we all have a
Of course. It changes you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, there was. We were involved in a lot of air assaults. A lot of high value targets were taken or not taken, and yeah, it was a tough environment. A very tough.
And how
environment.
about when you came home? Was it tough to adjust back?
It was, but I'll tell you, I was ready. I was really ready, and I kind of retired for a little over a year until my wife said, "Yeah, no, enough of this."
Yeah.
Serious question though. How are the chicks over there in Iraq?
It actually ran the gamut. They had some like westernized, because it's Baghdad, right? They had some like westernized women who like really dressed alluringly, and they had some,
Wearing the Habib and stuff like
wearing the
that.
Habib.
Covered up,
Yeah.
covered up. You couldn't really
Yes,
see too much.
so
of them.
it ran the
What are
gamut.
some Iraqi female names?
Oh, jeez.
What do your kids?
I don't even
He doesn't
remember.
know.
I don't even remember.
What do your
remember.
kids call you from over there? What do they call you? The kids that you had over there. What do they call you? How do you say "daddy" in Iraq?
Tommy, Sergeant Tommy. What was your
actually,
rank in the service? Did you have a
I
rank?
was a lieutenant colonel.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's pretty high rank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
It was a GS rank. It was a government rank.
So I'm not. Give
like
me
a
the ranks.
civilian
Give me the
rank.
ranks under that, so we could appreciate what level it is.
There's private. There's buck private.
It's a field grade officer. Basically, it's captain, lieutenant colonel, colonel.
Oh, so you're above a captain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you
And then-
wearing over there? You're not in a suit and tie, huh?
No, full military.
Fatigues, right?
Oh, yeah.
Full ACUs.
Did you get those boots? You got those boots, the cool boots?
I got the cool boots. Still have them.
You
Yeah,
must have wore
those
some
are great.
heavy duty body armor too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Full army gear.
Yeah. Shit.
Full marine gear.
Did you
I
ever
bet
get to the green zone over there where you could sleep a
I
good
did.
night?
I did. I got to the green zone.
In the red zone, man, it sounds like you can't sleep.
You know what?
there.
You know what? I got to tell you, when we'd have to make a trip to Camp Victory or the Green Zone, right, where they had the nice palaces and the restaurants that you were safe to eat at. So one day, you can only move if you have a certain number of people in the car, gunners, right? You'd have a driver, you'd have a TAC commander, and you'd need 3 gunners, right, in the back of the car. So one day, I volunteered to be a gunner. Right, this guy's going to Camp Victory. You know, do me a favor. I got to go see somebody. Sure, I'm not doing anything. We go up.
3 gunners is guys with machine guns.
Correct. On the way back, we get hit with 2 IEDs. I get lost. I'm driving. I get lost where there's no GPS. This is way before GPS. And I'm trying to read this old British Air Force aerial map, trying to get my way back to the red zone, or to the green zone to the red zone.
Take the Willis Avenue Bridge.
make a left at the bear that looks like a rock, and so I get pulled. So we pull up on an army blockade, right? And I walk up. I'm in civilian clothes, right? But I have my ID on me, and I'm very
So you
cautious.
got out of the car.
Got out of the car because I'm going to ask these guys directions, how to get back to the green zone.
Oh, shit.
And this guy's got a 50 cal trained on me, right? And I go, listen, you know, I'm so and so from so and so. He goes, yeah, I'm glad you came out that way because my 50 cal gun is from New York and he's in a real bad mood today, right? He says this guy unleashes a hail of 50 cal bullets over my shoulder.
Oh, shit.
Right?
At who?
A car pulling up behind us.
Oh, my
God.
God.
An Iraqi car pulled up behind us.
To do damage
Quickly.
to you guys.
Well, it was all V-beds, and that's how they did it. They pull up on you and cack off.
What is that V-beds?
Vehicle-borne IED.
So it's a car that's
That's
strapped.
with 107 mortars
It's
or
gonna
whatever.
it's going to
It's
drive
just
right into
drive
you.
right into you. Yep.
Is
And
there a
was
driver in
technique.
that car?
There's a driver in the car. So for
So he's
whatever
willing
reason,
to give up his life. He knows he's dead, that guy.
correct. Yeah, there's no reasoning with him.
Suicide bomber. Yeah.
So he blew the engine up across the windshield, and I see the guy. He's trying to pull the det cord. Right, so he's yanking on it. It's not going. So he gets out of the car, and now we all take cover, and he's going to the trunk and open it, and I'm yelling at him in Arabic. I don't remember what it was now.
Don't do it, motherfucker.
Yeah, basically. And sure enough, this guy's going to try to manually do it from the trunk, and I just
Shit.
defeated
him
him.
out.
But it was so bad day.
Oh,
Bad
man.
day. Finally get back. The last IED is we get through the checkpoint.
Okay, so you defeated that guy.
Yeah.
But now you get your directions,
Now I got my directions.
and you're heading back, and then you have to face another.
Let me ask you, did you have Easy Pass?
It was like Easy Pass. So we're at a checkpoint, giving our IDs, and his car pulls from the local lane and goes right behind us. Now I only know this because I saw the camera footage. So he's right on us for about 30, 40 seconds, and we pull off, and the Iraqi guard goes to him, and he blows off. But obviously, he wanted to do us, but it was a delayed fuse or whatever. So we missed. So that was the last. So that was the 3 IED
This
murder.
is just a
murder
ride
days.
home.
This is a ride home.
Oh, shit.
So I find out the meeting that had to take place it was Mexican Day at Al Sadir, and the guy wanted to go to the DFAC, the dining facility, to meet the guy to get sour cream. So I said, "You
Put your life in
put
that danger
for sour cream."
Yeah.
So it was a crazy place.
The guy asked you for a ride.
The guy asked me
It's
to
like
help
it's
him.
like asking you to hey, can you? There's nobody around. Can you give me a ride downtown so I could drop off my body?
Yeah.
And you go along. That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
we don't
nuts.
work together, but all right.
You know-
There's nobody else left. I'll go down with, and something fucked up happens.
Not
So
for
you-
nothing. You survived that shit, man. You must feel you have a much bigger purpose in life now that you survived. It's crazy as shit, man.
I think maybe just keeping my wife extraordinarily happy. I think that's my
That's your
mission
role in life from now on. Yeah, because you played. You had your playtime.
I did.
You had years of playing. Your playtime is over, Thomas. And now you better mow the lawn, fucking
Skim the pool.
cook dinner, whatever the fuck she asked you to do. No more Iraqi shit. No more IEDs.
No, I'm blessed.
Yeah, but that guy, a lot of people say that, when you do that type of time and you come back here, because now you're basically like in the military. When after you do those 5 years, you come back home, you get bored here real quick. Does it all seem like a waste of time, like nonsense? Do you want to go back?
No, I think every once in a while I get offered some missions, as we call it over there, different type of jobs.
I want to go on a mission, man.
You
Give my name,
should.
but I want to do something like in Hawaii. Maybe
Me too.
Dominican.
Me too.
Dominican Republic.
If you ever have to do one of those, man,
I'll
you a guy to keep me company.
I got you on
Spanish,
speed dial.
I speak Spanish. Man, those missions, they always take place in shitty places, man.
They do.
There's got to be some good missions, though.
There is. I think Kosovo.
Yeah, that
is
one's probably good.
Yeah, it's probably good.
Because
Did
they
you
have the
run
best
into any
beaches
other
over there in
NYPD
Croatia.
guys over there?
I think one or two. Yeah.
I know Roger Perino was over there.
Roger Perino was there. Yeah, he was actually in my program.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's back now. He just got a big job with the Port Authority.
Yeah, right. I'm tracking that. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't. He was probably there for a bunch of years too.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
right. Because I know he's in the Marines. He was
Correct.
a reserve.
Correct.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy.
Well, you definitely have at least 2 good series in here. I'm not even talking about books. I'm talking about freaking series.
Oh man, he's got a
Netflix
series. Yeah, he's definitely got a
HBO
series.
man.
Fucking-
You got one in the front. You got the other one. The whole thing in Iraq, the 5.5
Holy
years.
shit,
That's a whole
man.
other story itself.
Yeah.
It's not enough. Really, a lot of times.
I don't know if there's enough sex in it though.
Gratuitous sex and violence. That's what sells.
That's right. But
Yeah, especially once we get to
these
that. We gotta
these
create
are great stories, man.
Well, we gotta. It's Hollywood, so we gotta get you somebody or in Iraq. You don't see. She's always on the cover, and then she finally takes off the Habib thing. You're like,
Oh wow! Holy shit!
oh man, those are great. You got definitely have two of them in you. Two full series, five episodes, at least 8-10 episodes a year. You got. Wow, that was great. But you're back here, so maybe you can help settle the score with a couple of these things before we check out. I always like to ask a couple questions to our guests as far as what's going on in modern day policing. What do you think of body cams?
I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. I think overall it's positive. As a matter of fact, my nephew was over last night, and he's a big fan of the body cams. Even though
He's on the job?
he's on the job, he's got 5-6 years on. He's anti-crime, 4 or 5, and so he was kind of letting me behind the curtain a little bit. And they're infallible. Yeah, I mean, they're very fallible. Is that if you forget to turn them on, or they malfunction, you're kind of responsible for that,
Right.
and you'll be disciplined. So
That's the downside.
that's one downside. I'm not really sure how the footage is released, used criminally.
Right.
Do you have any idea?
Right. No, I don't. I really.
I'm going
to
to tell you something, all right? In Florida, I noticed one thing about watching the news, and that was there's not one news story that comes up, a crime story, that they don't have footage, video footage. There's surveillance cameras all over the place. I'm talking about, I watched 6-7 stories in a row, and every single story had great footage. A guy walking in, he's coming out
From the
with
police body cam or from other cameras?
No,
From
no.
other cameras.
That's why I'm thinking, you know what? We're making a whole big deal about these police body cams. In tight situations, they're useless because you're going to start moving around so much you can't see it. You see a lot of sky, a lot of ground. And in the not too distant future, we're going to have surveillance camera footage. You're not going to go anywhere without being caught on camera. This guy walks in. He's going to steal a TV. I guess he went to the doctor's office there, saw a 70-inch screen TV. You see the guy parking his car in the parking lot. You see him walking through the alley that leads to the doctor's office. You see him coming out of there with a 70-inch screen TV. I mean, this guy's dead to rights. There was another thing that happened over there where some guy was driving one of those flag, the plane where you drag the announcement, the ad behind you.
Oh, yeah. The
guy made a bad turn, went right into a building. You see everything. You see every part of where I was in Fort Lauderdale was covered by cameras. So in regards to body cams, I know even regardless of how you feel about them, they're not even going to be that necessary anymore.
I don't know. I think it comes out of an anti-police society.
It does, but it winds up actually helping the cops. If you
Sometimes,
look at the ACLU right now, they're trying to they're trying to come up with all these things to make the camera work in their favor.
Right.
You know, because they realize a lot of these cases were bullshit, and we don't have any cases anymore. Because every time you see it, you see the guy either admitting a crime, lying, fighting with the cops, resisting arrest. You know, so, and the other thing when we talk about DNA, we always like to ask our guests about DNA, and something that's interesting right now. We always talk about Ancestry.com and 23andMe. There was a story recently, and the lady ditched her baby like 38 years ago. And by ditched her baby, she committed like it was a modern day abortion. She went into it was 9 months old. It was out of her, and then she dumped it off in the ditch. And she was caught. I don't know whether it was her, this idiot 33 years later wants to find out 38 years later where she comes from, or whether it's the family. This is where it's doing people in, the family giving their DNA. I wonder where I come from. Right. Really? Your brother's a criminal, man. He's wanted by the FBI. We got him. What do you think about that?
Well, I'll tell you, I have a little 23andMe story. We found out my brother-in-law actually ran his DNA through 23andMe, and the family found out they had another half-sister in the family. So that opens up a lot of
Pandora's box.
A lot of wounds, a lot of what ifs, a lot of how did that happen, who was it, and some family members are happy. Oh, I didn't know I had a sister or a brother or a half sister or brother. And me personally, I don't want to know at this point. Right. At this, 57 years old. And
it's all the makings of a great comedy sketch.
Oh, absolutely.
What? That motherfucker's my brother.
You got money?
There's a lot of different ways. There's more ways it can go wrong than right at this point right now. And people they're sending their DNA to the government. They're paying them to hold on to it. They're also, every time they call you up on the phone, they're asking you, these computers are asking you questions. They're getting you to say yes, no, giving your
voice print.
Right. They got everything you like and you don't like based off your social media profiles.
Yeah,
every single thing. They know exactly what you like to eat. And now they got you on video because you're posting videos. Very easy to edit. Crimes are going to be solved when they need to be.
That's why we're doing police off the cuff, to let everyone know about this stuff.
Yeah. What did you think, Tommy? Did you have a good time today?
I had a great time. Yeah. Tell you what an experience. It really is.
This was one of our best.
This was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, and I thought it was going to be great.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
You're a true gentleman, man. Thanks for coming by and gracing us.
Tommy, thank you so much. You have to agree to come back, though, again.
Absolutely.
We'd love to have you back.
It's a blast. I'll be better prepared next time.
We like to do it off the cuff. That's why it's called that.
Yeah, man. We do it off the cuff here at Police Off the Cuff. All right.
We got to thank Andrew Steiner, too. He's sitting there like,
Andrew Steiner's doing a hell of a job, man.
I know he's a radical, and he's looking at 3 cops.
He's bringing this stuff home.
That's right. He's editing it. He's trying to make us look good.
Yeah, man. He's trying his best. It's not easy.
All right, man.
Well, on behalf of Police Off the Cuff here, Bill Cannon, you got any parting words?
Nah, I just think it was great. It's, Tommy Kennedy, he is a true hero, and I'm so happy that I know the guy.
Yeah, man. I'm happy that
And also, you were on Spotify. We're on, what else were you on?
iTunes.
iTunes. Download Spotify. You know, we're getting, everyone's listening to this on Anchor. We want to get a little more Spotify and.
Anchor, Spotify,
yeah.
iTunes. I think we're on
iTunes.
Google too, right?
Yeah.
All right, man. Today we taped it, so you're going to be able to see
You're
us
going to watch it on
YouTube.
YouTube. I'm with some good looking
Did
guys.
my hair today, shaved, everything. Put on a decent shirt.
You need some makeup artists
I
here.
think so. We need a makeup artist next time.
All right, man. Tune in again, man. Thank you.
I guess so. What's been